So I'm Jacek. Code reviews, hands-on software engineer and architect, code reviews daily practitioner, and also Gerrit code review maintainer. And today we are talking about how to do code review like a pro. And the answer is pretty simple. Treat it as the fastest learning loop. Not the gate, not the formality, but the learning loop. If we can optimize that loop, the quality will follow. So let's dive in. Okay, but before we discuss what can be done in order to optimize it, let's quickly talk what's so special about code review. It's not just a bug catching game. It's our easiest opportunity, the best opportunity to transfer knowledge. When senior developer explains particular architectural pattern during the code review, that knowledge spreads across the whole team. When team aligns on practices, they are getting consistently applied to the whole code base. When we share domain insights, that helps to bring down silos. And research backs this up. Studies show that reviews serve dual purposes: technical quality improvement of the code and the knowledge transfer. The remarks given by reviewers are, the things that are given in context exactly when the developers need it. And in my opinion, that's the code review unique selling point. But what does good code review mean? How it could be measured? The review turnaround within a single business day means that there are no costly context switches for both authors and reviewers. Median review size. If we can keep it slow, I haven't provided any numbers here because that will vary between the programming languages, but both practice and research shows that smaller reviews get better and faster feedback. We should aim on that. Automation. All the things iron out by automates that you can run, whether locally on CI, means that people can focus on reviews, not on just finding bits and pieces. Traceability. Every PR and will be linked to issue or ADR or RFC so that decisions could be audited later. And finally, the most important metric is your post-release defects number. If this trends down, that basically means that your review process is efficient. Right, so how we can actually do that? And we start with the mindset. You should shift from prove it works to make it easy to review. Many developers, including myself previously, approach PRs defensively. Here is my code, here is why it works, approve it. And that's a wrong mindset. Our job, apart obviously from developing the code, is to help reviewers actually help us. If we make it trivial for them to understand the context, they can focus on finding issues and provide the valuable feedback. And it will make the whole process very efficient, way faster. So what authors can do? First, focus the PR. Small actionable changes, separator factors, that's very important. Then use the code review description template. Always write what's the intent behind the change. You could also give some hints how reviewers should approach the code or how the change will be rolled back to the production. That context is gold. Whatever you put there will be used by the reviewers. Then use conventional commits. Prefixes like fit and fix makes the commits history scannable. It also enables changelog automation. And last but not least, it gives an additional context to the reviewers. They know what they are dealing with. It's a new feature or a defect. They can use different mindsets to approach to the review. Develop self-review checklist. Within your team, you can agree what's important that should be checked prior you push your change to the review. It could be naming convention, for instance, but many, many more. Run whatever is feasible locally, all those formatters, linters. Don't push broken code to CI. Treat it as a safety net, not as a first line of defense. These days, when we push a lot, this is very important piece because CI gets as a scarce resource, and it will be a waste. And last but not least, use agents. If your company policy allows, use agents like Copilot and the others, but properly tune it first. And obviously, you can use it to scaffold either testing or even write whole functionalities. We've seen all those videos. The thing is that your job would be to verify the outcome. Never offload that to the CI or to fellow reviewers. That is not making code review efficient. And you can also use agent in different way. You can use it as a first reviewer of a change. It will iron out a lot of things from it. And potentially, if properly configured with context, find the real issues too. Right. And here we have the other side of the story. Reviewers, we should also shift our mindset from finding flaws to coaching craft. As a reviewer, you are not a gate, you are a guide. That basically means that you should always tag your comments with severity, whether this is blocking or not blocking, so that authors know where to focus first and approach to the blockers first. And you should always explain principles. For instance, we use dependency injection here so that we can write unit test. That's mentoring in action. By doing that, you are not just fixing this PR, you are leveling up this developer. But how we can do it more structured way? There is conventional comments framework that could be used for clear and actionable feedback, and it contains 4 parts. Only first line is mandatory. As you can see, it contains tags, which will clearly describe what sort of comment it is, whether it's an issue, it's a question, it's a price. We should price our code more often, I believe. Then we have a decoration, whether it's a blocking or not blocking issue. And then we have a small description about the problem. Next, we have a context. We should cite principles and invariants there with links to resources if needed. Then we have a suggestion. All modern tools allows you to suggest code fixes. Use it wisely and as much as you can. And then we have an outcome. What will happen to the code when you apply the suggestion? And here you have an example. That's a bad comment. Just use a map here. Why it's bad, apart from the tone, obviously. There is no rationale. Why I should use a map here? There is no severity. Is it important to use a map here? There is no guidance, actually, how I should use a map here. And finally, there is no outcome. What happens to the code when I use a map here? And we have the same version written with conventional comments. It's not an elaborate, but still. There is a line. We already know that's an issue, and it's a blocking one. What we should do, we should replace linear search with hash map. And then we have a context. Why linear search is bad? Because it will degrade with the number of entries. And if we use hash map, the access will be constant. Obviously, there is a clear suggestion how it should be applied to the code in question. And finally, we have an outcome. If we use a hash map here, we'll get a better performance under the load. Notice how Y got explicit here. Author knows first how it should fix their code, and then why it's important to fix it and what will be gained by that. But sustainable code reviews is a team sport, so here are a few techniques and tools that could be used to keep it running. So first, store code review description template in the repository. You will get consistency. Use code owners and rotation to ensure code coverage, proper code coverage, especially the tricky parts of the code, and participation. Then decide on the SLA, first response within a single business day, so that you keep the momentum. People have everything fresh in memory. They can review it faster. Then link principles or invariants to the resources so that you build institutional memory. People can always go back to the PR and find the link that was, pointing to the important part. Invest time in automation. Obviously, everyone says that. But there is a catch. Oh, you can use all the reviewing agents. That's a good stuff. Again, if a company policy allows that. But always, severities and tax should be applied by users, and they should enrich it if it's not properly configured with conventional comments, so that it's clear that someone's seen the things that agent found, and you are not focusing on something which is wrong, because that may still happen. Conventional commits for clean history and extra context. And finally, in the page that I've shown previous, there are a lot of plugins that you could use to have consistent conventional comments. Just go ahead and check it, and you can install it in your browser so that you can just click to have the format. If that doesn't work, you can always pre-save your replays. That will save time. Right. And here are a few gotchas to watch out. Mega PRs. They overwhelm reviewers. There are a few techniques that you could use. First, split your feature and deploy behind the feature flag. Another option, when you're thinking about potential reviewers, you can chunk whatever you produce by commits, so they can jump from commit to commit. That would be way easier for them to review. And then, eventually, mega PRs will happen. For whatever reason, you can always hold a walkthrough meeting and direct reviewers to the tricky parts of the code. Then drive-by nitpicking. As a reviewer, always tag your comments so that authors know how to solve things first. Then rubber stamping. That basically means that no real review was performed. You could agree inside your team that you could comment what was actually reviewed, and use rotation so that people are not worn out by constantly reviewing the same stuff. Last but not least, bike shedding. When you cite principle or invariant, give a link to the resource. Agree to follow up if there are some time pressures. Just fix the blockers and agree to follow up on laters. If you are developing a controversial change, consider holding RFC meeting first or drafting RFC. They are way better suited for discussions than PR. Time box the discussions under the PR and move on. Block on principles, never on preferences. Architecture matters, whereas simple needs and styles don't. And here are 3 things that you can carry out of the room. Focus the diff. Small actionable diff gets really great, way better reviews. Code with principles. Use conventional comments with why explicit. And use the automation so that human can make judgment calls. By the next Friday, try these moves. Use self-review template with, self-review checklist with code review description template. Adopt conventional comments with tags and labels, and pilot conventional comments for clear history. By doing that, you will make your code review faster, more consistent, and more effective. And you will all level up as a team. And that's it. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me during the...
We don't have so much time for questions, but let's time box for 5 minutes. Can I just do the first one? Then I'll give it to you. The first question is actually, I believe you touch about mega PRs.
Yes.
And here we've got the guy that actually started a tool that is making PRs, right? But
that's your fault.
I believe Scott is here also to tell us that actually he thought about something much better, right, for crafting changes. So are you recommending that maybe we should be using something that on the client side maybe encourages people in doing small changes, even having some tooling, right, like Git Butler that is stuck in them? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you could approach it multiple purposes. Technically, Git Butler would probably be the solution. But again, I know that people are using agents now. I mean, period. We are not getting away of it. You can always instruct it to make the code reviewable. Slice it vertically, not horizontally, because if it produces layers of code, nobody knows what's the main reason behind it. So if you slice it horizontally, that will give a chance for reviewers to actually understand what it's for. That would be my advice, right? Any other questions?
Yes. Do you have an extension available to Gerrit where we can use all these templates?
I had an idea to do that on some user summits, actually, and maybe I will go back to that idea and we'll develop some plugins so that conventional comments could be conveniently used, because I believe in power of it, really. It changes how comments are perceived by the author. I really way better work if I have, for instance, question, and I know that's a question, and it's not questioning my code, it's just a question because someone didn't get it, right? And that's okay, because I wrote it. Might be completely different for someone else.
Here, how do you deal with people that are reluctant to adjust to those principles?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's not an easy to answer, right? I'm trying to show the outcome. The most difficult part is obviously thinking about how people will approach to the code later and planning your development, right? Because you want to get rid of it, you want to deliver the software, you don't care. But that's what I mentioned, the mindset is the first step to the path, right? If you think about making code reviews simpler, then you will think, okay, I can stop now, I can create a commit, and I will approach different part of the solution in another commit. And that will be already way better than putting everything together. And I also know that when we see a broken code, it's a natural urge to fix it, right? You see, all right, it's a few lines down, I will fix it. It's okay. And it's okay to not fix it. I mean, obviously, it's better when you fix it, but you can, even when you are in the PR situation, you can create a small commit for this particular fix and name it. So that people, when they are reviewing, they just get the context. It's out of context. Okay, he just fixed it. It's good. I can move on to another commit. It takes a bit of time, trials and errors, but eventually, I believe it's way easier to the reviewers to approach to the code, and then eventually, as I said, you will get feedback which is valuable, not some complaints.